Hey peoples, Melly here. So I thought, since I wanted to do some sort of new content for this channel, I would give my thoughts on the last event that I was in person for, and that was Summerslam 2019 in Toronto. Of course, I had nosebleed seats, so I had pretty craptacular. Well, I wouldn't say craptacular, but like, I was in nosebleed, and it wasn't too bad seats. I wish I would have been a little bit closer, but it was still awesome to be there. I'm glad I was able to go. That's all I cared about, was the fact that I was able to go, thanks to my significant other, who was gracious enough to get me a ticket for my birthday, since my birthday was 3 days after SummerSlam last year. And that was before I found out Shane was going to be a part of it, and once I found out Shane was going to be a part of it after I had my ticket, I just got even more excited. I can tell you one thing, I could not stop talking about SummerSlam even before Shane had a match booked. And even now, every time I wear this shirt, I just have to just smile. So I'm going to go through the card, because I didn't remember the order of the card, because there was so many matches that night, I just couldn't remember the order. So I went through and kind of one by one. So I'm going to give my thoughts on SummerSlam 2019. Now I'm going to try and keep this as short as possible. I might upload a different video just giving more of a backstory on SummerSlam itself, like how I ended up going, why it was important, why it was such an important event for me, etc., etc. So for now, I'm just going to do the card and then maybe separately do my thoughts on it. We'll see what happens. So, the first match on the Kickoff Show was Drew Gulak and Oney Lorcan. And of course, Gulak beat Lorcan. We were just getting into the arena at this point in time. Like, we were just finding our seats. Like, it took a long time for them to open the doors. The Kickoff Show had already started before they even opened the gate, so. And we were like, me and a group of people that we've now been called the Nooners among each other, because we were all there since noon. We were like one of the first in line at the gate, so that tells you it took us a while just to get in. But of course, Gulak beat Lorcan, which I guess it was a nice kickoff match, like literally and figuratively, just to get the energy up in the place. And then that was followed by Murphy and Apollo Crews. Of course, that had the makings of a great match, but of course, with the Roman Reigns storyline going on at the time, of course, Rowan interfered and caused, he caused Murphy to win by DQ. Which is really unfortunate. There were hopes that would be a great match, even though it was kind of thrown together last minute. It still seemed like a pretty good match that should have just been left alone and just left to, blow the roof off the place like it would have. And then that's followed by the Elias performance, which was awesome. Being an Edmonton Oilers fan, the fact that he made fun of the Leafs was just, I laughed so hard. And the fact that he made the Kawhi Leonard comment, I was just like, oh, this is great. And of course, I've loved Elias since he started. I was a little turned off, and I was a little turned off by him at first, but he's grown on me. What can I say? And plus, the fact that he was associated with Shane back then, I couldn't not respect him, or couldn't not be so into his gimmick. And of course, that's when Edge appears completely by surprise. There was no rumors that he was going to be there. There was no rumors on who was going to come interfere with Elias's performance. And I watched this back on the network, and the network doesn't do it justice. Edge appearing, the freaking roof blew off the place. People were losing their minds. It was insanity. But it was amazing, and I was one of the ones that was cheering my lungs out, because it was just so awesome. It was so unexpected. I knew somebody was going to come out and interrupt him because that's how predictable WWE is most of the time. But the fact that it was Edge, I was actually saying to the guys in my section that I thought it was going to be Christian or even Trish if she came out before her match with Charlotte. Like, but seeing Edge and just hearing the "You think you know me," the place blew up. It was amazing, and I still get goosebumps watching that back because I was just, it was so great to see Edge back. And of course, this was before he was actually cleared, so the fact that he did a spear, just made just blew the place up even more. So then we have, for the final kickoff match, we have Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus the Iconics. Now, the Iconics are hilarious. I love that. I love that tag team. And they're just so, like, over the top, but it's so great, and it's, you know, they're just so natural at, like, their mic skills are, you know, top notch. And of course, I love Bliss and Cross, because that odd couple at first has really turned around and actually elevated both of them. And it's just great to watch them work together. Watching these two teams go back and forth, it was a fun time. So then we get to the main show, which starts with Becky Lynch versus Natalya. And of course, being a fellow Canadian, I was cheering for Natalya, but I love Becky too, so the fact that she won I was happy about. The fact that she tried to do a sharpshooter on Natalya was really awesome. And the fact that Natalya tried to disarm her, it was great. It was a submission match, so you kind of expected it, but it was still awesome to see. I was kind of bummed that Natalya lost, but Becky won in convincing fashion, and she won clean, so it was pretty decent main show kickoff match. Then we get follow that with Goldberg and Ziggler, which was a squash match, but it was also vintage Goldberg. Like, those were, like, that match was vintage Goldberg, like, WCW matches, like, over in a heartbeat, done, over. And then the fact that he came back and speared Ziggler not once but twice afterwards, it was great. And then we get Styles and Ricochet. AJ Styles and Ricochet, which was a great match. It's a shame that the OC interfered the way they did at points, but it could have been a lot more interference. And after the match, it was just, of course, typical heels. So, but it was a great match. Just two, you know, high energy performers. It was just amazing, and two high energy athletes. It was awesome. Then we get to Bayley versus Ember Moon, which had no build-up whatsoever. It was, like, tossed together. It didn't even have a hype package at all. Like, other matches that were just thrown together at least had somewhat of a hype package, or at least something to, you know, but it was kind of thrown together last minute, so. But of course, Bayley won, and she was face at the time, as was Ember, which didn't really, like, I don't think Ember was really a heel. She was just kind of, like, floating, so it didn't really work. Like, usually it's face versus heel if you want to get real energy, but it was a good match nonetheless. They're both two really athletic women, and it was just awesome to watch. Then, of course, that's followed by my personal match of the night, and I'm going to be biased till the day I die over that, but Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens. Again, I'll get into this a little later, but you guys can probably see from my video from my live reaction to Shane's entrance. It was a highlight of my night. It was a highlight of my year. It was a highlight of my decade. Like, it was, even though he lost, I was still happy. It was, you know, essentially a highlight, like a bonus on top of being able to be at Summerslam, was just being able to see him live for the first time after being a fan of his for over 21 years. It was awesome. I'm just, so happy I was able to see it. Even now, I get all excited even when I watch it now. I'm just like, oh my god, and I get goosebumps all over again when I watch the video that I got. It was just an awesome match. Of course, Shane lost, which was a bummer, but what can you do? And then we get to Charlotte versus Trish, and I was one of the ones, full disclosure, I was one of the ones that sang the national anthem during the beginning of the match, and I just want to put it out there that it wasn't disrespectful or meant to, you know, say that we were bored by the match, but it was just, we're here in Canada at SummerSlam. We got to do something weird. Like, we've been pretty, like, tame all night, and yeah, so, plus, it's Trish Stratus, man. Like, Trish and Charlotte, what a match. Like, passing the torch. I'm so glad I was able to be there for Trish's last match, her actual last match, and just, it was awesome. I've been a Trish fan since practically she started, so it was just great to be able to be there to witness her last match. So it was great. And then we get the Fiend versus Finn, go back one. I skipped we had Orton versus Kofi. That finish was BS. Like, everybody was chanting BS, and I fully support that even now. That match deserved a better finish than that. Both Kofi and Randy deserved a better finish than that. Like, it was built up, like, the hype was there, and the match was awesome until that finish hit, and then it just, like, deflated all the hype that we were feeling in the crowd. So, yeah. And then we get to the Fiend versus Finn Balor, which was a great follow-up match to that. Really re-energized the crowd, because the Fiend's entrance, that was the first time anybody had ever seen his entrance, so all of us were like, not sure what to expect, but the entrance was amazing. The fact that I was able to witness that live was just like, the network doesn't do it justice. Like, being there live, like, you had no idea what to expect, so you were just like, so hyped for it, because it was a gimmick that WWE hadn't managed to screw up yet. So, and we had never seen his entrance before. We did not know what to expect, though with the Fiend we expected a lot, but it more than lived up to my expectations, at least, and it was awesome. Like, I get goosebumps even watching it now, and I have a video somewhere of, like, where I pan the arena, and every cell phone's flashlight was on. Like, it was insane, and the music and the sound effects just, the network doesn't do it justice. Like, you had to be there in person. It's just, and even the entrances he's done after that, just, even now I'm just like, the first entrance was the best. Bar none. But of course he beats Finn Balor, because they were building up the Fiend to be this, like, unstoppable monster. Unstoppable, it was a great match, though. And I am a Finn Balor fan, so I was kind of bummed to see him lose, but just seeing the Fiend win his first match, that was amazing. And then we get to the main event, which was Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar. Now, I despise Brock Lesnar, the character, not the person, the character. I love Seth Rollins, both as a person and as a character. Just, I didn't really like him when he was a heel, but he grew on me even as a heel, so I was more than happy to get behind him not long after that, so I've been behind him pretty much ever since. I have most of his merch, as you saw in my one video where I show all my WWE clothing. I have so much of his merch, it's insane. But I took this opportunity to leave because, like I said, I was in the nosebleeds, so I took this opportunity to kind of, like, watch the first few minutes, and then as I made my way down, I'd always, like, try and peer and just keep an eye on the match. And so when I got down to the lower level, I was able to be on the side facing the SummerSlam stage, so I was able to see the whole pyro when he won, and that was awesome. But I'm glad he won. I'm so glad he won. Because, like I said, I can't stand Brock Lesnar's character and the way he's booked. I wish they would book him better, but I guess it's really his decision. Because he's really not a full-timer, as they say. But, yeah. So, anyways, there's my thoughts. Now, well, there's my thoughts on the card. Now, the next one, I'm probably going to go into more of, like, my experience throughout, like, from when getting up to getting back home. And I'll probably go into, the details of how I ended up going, why it was important to me to go, etc., etc. So look for that either tonight or the next couple days. So yeah, that's SummerSlam 2019 from my perspective on the card.